Hello, everyone, and welcome into the Storm post-game show. It's the Viper Championship. Mike Flanagan, along with Chris Schlemer and Randy Pedersen here joining me. We just got done seeing our 4 finalists crowned out on Extra Frame, and going to be another good show. We had 2 guys make it again. Stu and Belmo are both going to join us, and Barnes and Simonelli also make the show. Welcome to the gentlemen. Welcome to the booth, gentlemen. It's a long day.
Yes, it has.
Longer for you guys than for Louie and I.
Okay, I'll buy into that.
Not a good night for the St. Louis Cardinals for you, Slim.
Oh, dude.
Did they lose?
Yeah.
That's too bad.
2-2 going to Game 5. But, yeah, definitely a long day. These 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. Days don't really make it so great for the ball reps.
Yeah, you got about an hour in between to apply service to more bowling balls.
to get ready for the next squad as they come in.
Be a psychiatrist for another 45 minutes. And if you're lucky, you got about 15 minutes to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, I got to actually sneak those in, like make sure everybody's kind of in a good situation. I'm like, off to the restroom, and then, hey, where'd Schlem go? Yeah, I'll be back in 2 and 2.
Code Brown,
exactly.
Randy, obviously you're competing here this week. We got a chance to talk to you last night. We appreciate you coming by tonight. Tell us a little bit about your day today on Viper.
I ended up missing match play by like 27 pins.
Something like that, yeah. It was close.
The first 2 games were tough, really flat, so I tried piping it from first arrow, and I had a 5-bagger and a 6-bagger for 190 and 2-0, and so that didn't help the cause any. And bowled 270, 2-0, 240 the last 2. That could have been a lot more than that.
When you found you had success with the 270 game, what was it that allowed you to shoot 270? Was it a ball? Was it a good pair?
It was probably a combination of both. It probably had nothing to do with how I was throwing it. So it was probably the pair, and I was throwing a high road pearl. I moved in and just tried to open the lane up. I finally saw a good ball motion, and had a little confidence in it. And then when I made the turn from the high end to the low end, all of a sudden I went through 3 balls just to shoot 2-0 that game. And the ball that I just had the front 9 with didn't work, and I actually had to ball up. And once I balled up, then it looked good, and then I had to get around it a little bit. It was just a lot of variables for me, and not a lot of room left in that brain to try to process all that stuff.
Well, from what I saw, and Schlemer, maybe you could elaborate on this, but earlier this morning we saw a lot of the higher scores come out of the morning block. Got a little bit tighter in the B block, and then tonight they looked almost brutal, almost like U.S. Open.
Yeah, it was one of those things that this morning, and obviously Randy gets us to it, and these guys that came in there for a while was looking really dismal as far as the squad equity. But the second shift kind of got things figured out. But I'll give you probably guys a prime example. It was kind of one of those things that Randy could tell you. It was 270s, 240s. Those games really weren't available to those guys in the second shift today, just because they didn't have a hook spot down lane that was there this morning. And again, I know it's a variable, so I'm not going to get into that whole lane condition stuff.
Sure.
It is what it is when you have 2 squads, and it's always that thing. But there for a while, it was looking like it was going to be 21 and 3, and they ended up getting 7 guys in. But the one thing I wanted to share is the last game. I give you an example. I had to run here to the locker room to get Pete Weber the strongest ball in his bag, for him to get back to the 1-3 pocket. The very last game 7. For him to catch a 5-bagger to get to 2-0.
Wow.
And
all of a sudden, it was everything.
Was that ball?
I went and grabbed a Defiant Soul that we drilled this week. I mean, it's only been down the lane a couple times. I said, dude, what's the strongest ball you have? He goes, I think I got that Fresh Soul. Went and grabbed that, and he luckily caught a 5-bagger to bail out 2-0. Then he goes, everything he had down there we tried through the first 5 frames, missed the head pin right. Didn't matter. He kept cheating right. It kept sailing longer and longer and longer. So
I thought the cut number was going to be about 150 or 160 after our squad got done. And when I looked at the scores, I was obviously even more disappointed. I would have rather missed by 70 or 80 than 20-something.
Sure.
But, the good news is I spoke with Storm this afternoon, and I've always wanted my own bowling ball. And they're finally coming out with a Randy Pedersen bowling ball. It's called the Dirty Rotten Soul. So
nice.
Look for that soon, coming to a pro shop soon. Folks.
Well, we'll be selling those at 7-Elevens.
Right. The Defiant Soul is a rotogrip ball. Obviously, Schlem, you're the brand manager, and actually standing by someone who made match play tonight, one of your guys from rotogrip, none other than John Szczerbinski. And Louie's actually standing by with John right now. Louie
in the locker room here with Big John Szczerbinski, rotogrip staffer. John had a great night tonight. And didn't miss by too much. And basically, how did you play the lanes tonight?
Well, you started a little bit further right to kind of start the day, and then you kind of just kept chasing it. And like as Randy said earlier, that they definitely played a little bit flatter in the front the first couple games. So you basically had to try to give yourself a little bit of angle, a little bit of hold. So I ended up going into about third arrow, a little bit deeper, just to try to give myself a little bit of hold. Came out with a pretty good game, shot 240, gave myself a chance after the first game, and then kind of teetered a little bit back and forth, a little bit of a roller coaster, unfortunately. But it was an all right night. I'm glad I made match play, glad I got the experience again, and just going to have to come back in the morning.
It's not going to be long before you make a show and get a title, John. What kind of transitions did you make on the Viper tonight?
Basically, it was just kind of learning your bowling balls. I'm working with Schlemer a little bit, going from different bowling balls. Like the one time when he was talking about Pete going to his strongest ball, that's kind of what I did the one game. After I had a pretty rough game, game 2, I ended up going back to my stronger ball, kind of moving right, and actually had a pretty good game and shot 222. But it was just kind of tricks like that. You don't really learn. You just got to get your experience and do that. And that's why these guys are out here helping. You just got to be a sponge basically, and just try to get as much knowledge by doing that.
Rotogrip's got some new balls out. What seems to be your favorite of the batch?
Of the batch, I have to say the Deranged. I really like the Deranged because it is very similar to that Disturb that I happen to have in my bag all the time. Mm-hmm. For me, it's just a little bit further down the lane, similar shape, maybe a little bit more on the back, and it still goes through the pins. I know, unbelievably so. That's still my favorite.
Okay, John. Well, hey, you had a good night tonight. You'll go get him tomorrow.
Cool. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me, and have a good night.
All right, John. Back to Flanagan in the booth.
Thank you, Louie. Back here with Schlem. Randy jetted out. We'll have Jason Belmonte up here in just a couple of minutes. But, hey, really cool to see John Szczerbinski doing a really good job out there representing Rotogrip and bowling really good tonight. They were not easy tonight at all.
No, and that was one of the things, like you guys, we touched upon it earlier. It was from the morning squad to the afternoon squad and then here to what we had in match play. All these guys can tell you, and we get a chance here to talk to Belmo and Stu. Our plans of attacks and bounce around bowling balls, it was a little bit different than what we expected. So it was really the big thing was for us today was the lane surface. That was more the critical part of the entire day was different pairs. You had some pairs hooking a lot sooner than others, and we just had to get certain guys get their angles the right way to get the ball to feed through. And some got there faster, and some it took us a little bit more time. So it was a long day.
Absolutely. And speaking of long days, Belmo has made it into the booth, and at this point in time, going to turn it over to Louie, who's standing by with Mr. Belmo. He's our 3 seat today.
Hey, Belmo, great shooting tonight. You made another show, qualified 4th. Tell me a little bit about your ball choices tonight.
Yeah, tonight, I started off with the bite early on, and I kind of did a little coin toss with myself between that and the Marvel Pearl, and a couple of errant shots. I leaked a little bit right, and because I was throwing it quite hard, throwing it pretty straight, the pattern just didn't have that bounce around about 6-7. If I hit 8-9, I was golden. 6-7, and I 2-8-10. So after a couple of shots like that, I decided, well, if I'm going to shoot 2-0 every game, I'm not going to get anywhere. So I kind of went to Old Faithful and pulled out the Marvel Pearl, and it just read a little bit earlier and a little bit harder on the back for me with the different drilling. And I went 280, 279, or 278 to get me right back into it, and then. The lanes kind of, I wish I could have stayed like that, but they didn't, Lou, and then I had to kind of jump all the way in, and I started throwing an Asian release called the Code Black, and that's a really good ball too. And apart from a few more errant shots, I bowled really well though. I'm really, really happy.
Now, you've had tremendous success at South Point over the years. Are you finding the lanes and the transitions and where they're breaking down similar to the last few years?
No, I don't think so. The longer patterns and the more volume, it's quite evident that you can't do what you have been able to do here in the past years. I mean, generally speaking, on the Viper and Chameleon and patterns that were, or even the longer patterns like the Shark, it wasn't too long, maybe game 2 or 3, we started to loft the left gutter, and I didn't loft it once today. I didn't loft it once tonight. So it's certainly playing a lot more oil at the front. That oil goes down a little further for you, and I think you're going to see, you have probably seen more 2-8-10s in this building this year than ever before.
The nice thing about working for Storm and Rotogrip is we have 3 players who are vying for Player of the Year. Malott and Weber were in here last night. They're they're veterans and they're saying, oh, it would be nice. And you're the favorite though right now. And tell me what Player of the Year would mean to you, and tell me how are you feeling going into the World Series with this on the line.
Yeah, well, I mean, coming over here, the player of the mind certainly was on the forefront of my mind for the entire flight over here. It's the last event before the voting starts. I knew that if I would make a couple of shows and perhaps win a couple or get really lucky and win the World Championship, then I would certainly solidify myself as the favorite going into the Player of the Year. But you can't let up. You've got guys like Pete and Wes who are phenomenal bowlers who made a show last night in great position themselves for the World Championship. So my goal now is to, obviously, as cliche as it sounds, but take each event as its own. And, if I can do really well through the qualifying, set myself up for the World Championships, bowl the 24 best games of my life for the World Championships, and then, let the coin toss on TV determine what happens.
Hey, listen, get to bed, get some sleep, get some rest, and go get them tomorrow.
I appreciate it, Lou. Thanks to Inside Bowling, Storm, Roto Grip. You guys are doing it. This is awesome. This is pretty cool for all the viewers. So, thanks.
Thanks, Belmo. Hey, back to Schlemer and Flanagan in the booth.
Awesome to have the guys coming by each night. Belmo, I'm loving his new jerseys, too. I think they look awesome.
You got a little new design working, and actually all the guys. You're going to catch Stu coming up in the booth here next, and it was kind of a cool deal for a lot of the guys. With High Five taking over in the jersey deal, a lot of guys. So you see a lot of cool stuff. Last night I'm pretty sure we got to see Weber's new jersey.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually kind of cool. The guys took some stuff that maybe they had before. It was time for a change, so they kind of took advantage of the new company and new tweaks, and that's what we got going on. So.
Yeah, and last night, Stuart Williams was hired by Extra Frame to sit in a booth, and he and Randy had a good time. I don't know if you had a chance to listen to that.
I don't know what happened, but I've heard nothing but random hoops and hollers and everything as just walking down the concourses. People stopping Stu after he just makes a show, and they're like, "Stu, last night was awesome. You're the best." He's signing babies. He's giving high fives. He's taking pictures with elderly ladies. I don't know what's going on. I missed the whole deal because I was down, and so. But evidently, I'm gonna have to go check that out because it was everyone's talking about it. So.
Well, we're going to throw it over to Louie, who's standing by with Stu now at this time. Stu is our 4th seed tonight on the Viper.
And I heard that Letterman called, Jimmy Kimball, everybody's after Stu with this great performance on Extra Frame. We're lucky to have Stu in the booth right now. The British Bulldog, or what do you go by now? Beefcake Stu, or?
I think it's whatever Mike rambles.
Hey, all right, you finished qualified 3rd tonight. You made a show. It's going to be your 2nd show, right? 2nd or 3rd?
2nd of the season.
2nd of the season, okay. So last night you had fun in the booth, but tonight you were serious about some bowling and you got it done. Tell us a little bit about what happened.
Yeah, I mean, I had a pretty good reaction all day. I mean, I just had to get out of my own way. I mean, it seemed like it was a by-game occurrence that I would miss the head pin and leave the 1-2-4-7, which isn't the best for count, but at least by the time I left it for the 8th time in the day, I knew where to stand to shoot it. So, but apart from that, yeah, I made some pretty good ball changes. I was mainly just using the crossroads and the disturbed, just switching really between those two. When the crossroads seemed to go a little bit long, I just switched straight into the disturbed, and that had come off the spot a little bit earlier and a little bit harder, and then everything was fine for me, really.
We got some B-roll of you throwing it, and you were using your real slow looper tonight, and you're one of the guys who can play really, really good straight, and you also have a really, really nice loop shot that you get way in from. Which one do you feel more comfortable with?
I don't know, really. I think it's mainly about which is, the easiest to play. I think everybody feels easiest when they've got the most room on the lane. I think probably I feel a little bit more comfortable doing what I was doing tonight. I think I've got more tricks to stay in the same spot, but, it's just you can't always do the same thing. So the more tools that you can add, the more dangerous you can be on a regular basis.
Now you've had a little bit of TV experience, so this final on ESPN is going to be not old hat for you, but you're going to have some experience with it. How is that going to help you when you get on the show, on the Viper show?
Well, I don't know really, because I won the first one and then I haven't won since, so the experience hasn't really been helping me out too much so far. But obviously, I won the Viper 2 years ago, so that obviously gives me quite a lot of confidence, even though it's a different pattern. I mean, I'm just going to pretend it's the same. It's called the same thing. So, so I go in. I don't think any of the other guys on the show I mean, I imagine Chris has, but neither Ryan or Jason have won the Viper pattern. So I'll look at it that way and look as I'm the seasoned veteran on the Viper pattern.
What we talked a little bit about the new rotogrip releases. What seems to be your favorite ball out of those balls?
I mean, for me, I can't really put down the Disturbed. I mean, I can use it on almost every pattern. It's very versatile with the surfaces. You can shine it up and really make it come around the corner, or you can play that sort of the earlier and straighter line like I did at the Masters using the Disturbed. You leave a little bit more surface on it, and you can. So that's definitely the ball for me, I think.
Okay, well, Stu, get some rest, and the best of luck to you, and go for title number 2 on the Viper.
Thanks, Louie. Thanks to all the guys over at Storm and Rotogrip, and hopefully keep putting the best products out on the market, and we can keep winning the titles.
Okay, thanks, Stu. Flanagan and Schlem, let's wrap this thing up.
Thanks, Louie. Thanks, Stu. Obviously, another rotogrip guy having success out there. That's good for the rotogrip camp.
Yeah, it's great for the rotogrip camp. I mean, it's one of those things that, as we've seen, we've got a great staff of guys, with Stu and Wes and, Szczerbinski and, Haugen. And we've got quite a few rotogrip players bowling well, and also even the Storm guys. The one thing, like Stu said, is having the versatility of the different products, not only, the rotogrip stuff, but also the Storm stuff as well. And we've done really good at, giving these guys a good balance, and a lot of these guys were migrating to the rotogrip balls. But then there's times, like Stu had to deal, like you just said, the Crossroad, a hybrid cover. It's a little bit cleaner, a little bit more angular, and like you said, it was on certain pairs. It was great. I mean, he had some great games today, and when he's like, okay, even like this last game, he come back to me and he goes, Schlem, he goes, this left lane, and we're like, Stu, do what you've been doing all day. Boom, Disturbed, and he had the little trick, and it come off the spot good, and he managed to shoot 250 last game. So it definitely is, and for all those guys, and Stu's especially, one thing to make note is the European bowlers. These guys rely more so on equipment because they don't have that's not really accessible to them. So like Stu and Dom and Osku and Martin Larson, those guys, when they come over, and even like Ildemaro, Ruiz, and Andres Gomez, some guys from South America, they don't have access to all the equipment we have. So, like, they find a couple balls, and then they kind of stick to it. And then so it makes, in essence, I think for them it makes it easier, especially when they go bowl these other tournaments, because, hey, I've got my 2 Disturbs, and I've got, Stu always carries a Crossroad, and he's kind of got this little toolbox going on, and that's what he carries with him. And, today it was not a guess of, hey, I've got these in 9 balls, which one should I pick? He's like, hey, here's my 2.
Right.
What am I supposed to do? And we just kind of navigated back and forth with it. And while some of the other guys, like Szczerbinski was in it earlier, and, just tonight alone in match play, we must have went through, probably 6 balls, just different spots and different angles, trying to get the read in different deals. And it was a grinding day.
I saw you bouncing back and forth like a ping pong ball tonight. Everybody needed help. It seemed like they really got stuck in game 3 or game 4.
Yeah, and that's kind of the transition period usually, especially on this type of oil. And another, it's one of those things that even with you have a limited number of guys. You only got, we had the 24 match play finalists. But the time from when they oil the lanes, there's really not a lot of time for the oil to sit on the lanes. So we had tendency to see, we saw the same thing last night in about game 3-4. The transition happened faster and differently than it did during the days, during the blocks, when you've got more people bowling and, the lanes sit for a little bit longer time and everything like that. So, again, just another, like Randy mentioned earlier, it's just another variable thrown in the mix that, we have to account for. And like you said, it was all of a sudden not that it was panic mode, but I looked at Dell and like, okay, I'm going this guy, you got that guy, you're going to catch this guy.
Sure.
Because everybody's kind of, throw a couple shots, and next thing you know, it's 2-8-10, make an adjustment, 2-pin, make an adjustment, then they're through the face. And they're like, okay, I just went light, and now I'm through the face.
Yeah, and
with the same ball. So.
Poor Dom, he was leading after the first block and just really just fell off the radar screen. What happened to him tonight?
And Domsy is one of those things that he knew going in that, obviously anytime Chris Barnes is on the field, that he's going to try and jam it in there. And Chris is really good at playing it straight. And, again, he did that tonight. And so Dom had that thing. And even like Belmo mentioned, he went a little bit firmer, more direct. So Dom felt that he could come in, try and jam it in there, and unfortunately his hand just wasn't in quite the right spot. Barnes has really got that up the back of it, and even Belmo for him was really hard up the back of it. And Dom, when he gets up the back of it, he still kind of rolls through it off his wrist, and so it caused his ball to read a lot earlier. And so me and Del went back and forth, and even with Dom, and man, those first couple games, he must have went through probably 9 different bowling balls. It was, trying to get,
it was painful to watch.
This one reads. Go to this one. Oh, that's too long. Okay, well, we need a little bit earlier. We'll get that one. Well, that was too early, and then it was kind of fishing back and forth, and then it was chasing it left and chasing it right, and like I said, he had the game plan going in. Unfortunately, it just kind of didn't shape up that way. And, he took his licks, and, towards the end, he was joking around. He's like, I guess I probably shouldn't have stuck to that plan of attack so strongly and, kind of been a little bit more open-minded. And like, hey, man, it's part of the game. I mean, that's really, Dell and I have been doing this for a really long time, and he's, still learning out here, even though he's got a title and he's been out here a couple of years now. It's still a learning process, just like Stu said.
So we've got a couple more tournaments coming up. What's on tap for tomorrow?
Oh, geez. Oh, well, my day's going to start again at 7 a.m. That's what's starting. I believe tomorrow we're going to we got the Scorpion, I think, is what the deal?
Yeah.
Right? Scorpion. So based off the practices we got, same kind of thing. Actually, don't be surprised if you see a lot of the same balls and type of reaction we saw today. That's one of the things that we tried to reiterate with the PBA patterns. The cheetah, viper, chameleon, scorpion, they're still the names, but the distances change, the volumes change, so they're not the same. I mean, I don't know how many people in the crowd, just yesterday and the last couple of days were like, oh, yeah, cheetah pattern, I play here, I do this. Like, yeah, you didn't do that on this cheetah pattern. And so, like today, obviously a lot more volume. You saw not the way we used to play this pattern where you could actually see a hook spot develop, jump in and wheel it. Well, those guys started hard and straight, playing the puddle. And even like Belmo said, there was no one over the left gutter. So I think tomorrow's going to be the same thing. I think the guys are going to be even straighter, probably see even stronger balls. Probably going to be some Defiant Souls, Disturbs, probably the new Bite, some Rain-Ons, IQ Tour Solids, some of our stronger end balls from both brands. A little bit more direct, let it develop open, but it's going to gradually open. It's not going to be the big, all of a sudden it's just going to hook a ton and you got to jump left. It's going to be just that smooth transition. And, I think that's part of the idea that the PBA had with adding volume and changing these lengths to not make it a heave fest over the left gutter, which tends to happen here. So.
Okay, well, that's going to do it for tonight's Storm post-game show. We really appreciate you guys sticking around and watching here tonight. We'll be here live from the World Series of Bowling all week long. Like Schlemer said, we got the Scorpion, we got the Chameleon coming up, along with the World Championship. So we've got 3 players in the Player of the Year race, and all 3 of them have already made a show. So I don't know how much better it can get from that. Don't forget to go out and check out our website, stormbowling.com. We had 2 big releases just came out this past week, the Rain-On and the Bite. You can check out those videos on our YouTube channel. You get to see me throw it around a little bit, and I don't bowl very much, and those balls were really, really good for me. And also wanted to just let you know to make sure to go out and subscribe to our YouTube channel and to go out and like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. We appreciate you joining us tonight, and until tomorrow night, subscribe to Extra Frame, support the PBA Tour, and we will see you tomorrow night here about the same time after the last game of match play. Have a good night.